Hello, Internet, and welcome to episode 223 of Verbal Graffiti with your host, Brian Glass, a.k.a. the B-Man, the People's Degenerate. We have an epidemic here on the Internet. Maybe you've noticed. If you have not, the B-Man is about to bring it to your attention. It has irked me for about the last year. Maybe I brought it up before, maybe I haven't. My memory is jello at this point, and it is not because I've watched too much The Cosby Show, although I did watch a lot of The Cosby Show as a child. Please don't judge me for that. I did not know that Mr. Cosby was doing the things he was doing downstairs in his doctor's office. And what the epidemic I'm about to bring to your attention has nothing to do with The Cosby Show. So please, let's leave the Huxtables aside. Although it is... Have you ever noticed, if you're old enough to have watched The Cosby Show, that nobody in The Cosby Show was named Cosby? They were all the Huxtables. Maybe that should have been a sign that Mr. Cosby was not as upstanding a citizen as he claimed to be as a Huxtable. Anyways, that was back in the 80s and early 90s. Right now, we are in the 2000s, the 21st century, where we don't have to rely on the networks to create content anymore. And some of the content that I'm seeing is frustrating. It's mind-boggling. It makes me think, how did they do it? Do they not know what they're doing? And let's get to it. All right? Enough fluffing. All right? I fluffed you enough? Are you semi? Has it moved a little bit if you have one? And if you don't have one, do you have penis envy? I'd like to know. Let me know down in the comments. I have a theory that most babes do have a little bit of the penis envy. And it's not always good when you say a little bit and then follow it up exactly with the word penis. Little bit, penis. We, as guys who have penises, we don't like those two. Penis, little bit, we don't like them being put together, even if you do have a little one. But again, this isn't about your penis or my penis, Mr. Perfect. This is about these ladies on the internet. Sorry, these babes. We have an epidemic of these babes who have podcasts, YouTube shows. Maybe they're in your algorithm. If you procrastinate by watching YouTube videos, that's what we all do. All right? That's why we are being inundated with AI slop, because we don't create content that's good enough for the internet, because we're too busy watching other content on YouTube. Let's be honest. You do it, the B-Man does it. And I'm going to bring it to your attention right now. There are these babes who have these podcasts. All right, it'll be either a one-off or them and maybe their best friend, a girlfriend, and not lovers, but girlfriends call each other friends, girlfriends. They don't rub each other's snizzes against each other. They're girlfriends. You know, I know, but they have a podcast. What genre a podcast YouTube show is it? I don't really know. Lifestyle would be my guess. Is my guess. A lifestyle podcast. They talk about their lives on their YouTube show. And what irks me the most, the epidemic, is that they wear sweatpants and a hoodie. Sometimes a hoodie will have a big word across the chest, but we don't know how big their chest is. It's because the hoodie is baggy, but it'll say more like Wisdom or whatever the hot brand is, and they'll be wearing their hoodie, and it will look like it's a Sunday morning, and it'll be recapping what happened on Friday and Saturday night as they're dealing with their hangover. And this setup will be, it will look like a living room, because it probably is. It'll have a nice fluffy couch that looks like it costs north of $7,000. They'll have their cute little Bichon or little cat just scrolling through the screen up on their shoulder, across their belly, their lap, and they'll be lounging and they'll be slouching like this, like a third grader who's boarding class. And they'll have a background. There'll be some fake plants, which immediately I judge them for having fake plants. because they know this is going to be on the internet. And the way they want to portray themselves is having fake plants. Have you ever walked into a house where the homeowner has their entire plant collection is fake? And immediately that makes you question their capability as a human being. Fake plants tell me that you're incapable of keeping anything alive. All right? When you walk into a house filled with fake plants, and then the homeowners also have children that are real human beings, I think about calling DCF or is it DFC, whatever that is. I don't do it because I'm not a snitch. I'm not a rat. But I have empathy for those children because those children are not going to be cared for as well as they can be. Because if you can't care for a plant, how can you care for a living child? All right, I just dropped my phone. But that's the backdrop of the set on the podcast. They know they're going to broadcast this to the entire internet, and they're wearing a sweatsuit, lounging on a couch with fake plants in the background. And I don't understand this genre of YouTube show podcasts because they'll be talking about their lifestyle and they'll be living in Miami or LA or Dubai or Saudi Arabia or somewhere where the wealthy live and reside and party and congregate and engage in libations and whatever illicit drugs they're doing that evening. So they're living a luxurious lifestyle. But I pry. I look into their numbers. How many people watched the episode? 7,000. Interesting. How many followers do you have? 12,000. That's much better than I'm doing. I only have 69 subscribers, and thank all of you for subscribing. But the math doesn't add up. They're talking about their lifestyle, these two babes lounging on a couch, all right, with their 24-ounce Stanley water mug, cup, casing, whatever you call that thing, that takes half the screen, all right? And they both have one, and they're sucking that, laughing about what went down, what shenanigans went down Friday night in Dubai. But the math, how do you afford this beachfront, a high-rise apartment in Miami or Dubai or LA or Malibu with 12,000 subscribers, YouTube subscribers? The math doesn't add up. But there's got to be there's hundreds of these type of YouTube shows where these babes can't even be bothered to put on a blouse or a pair of jeans or a skirt. Now, we're not actually, we are very judgmental here at Verbal Graffiti, and I'm judging them for that. If you're going to, your brand is, I just got up in the morning. I didn't even brush my hair. And they talk about their love life and their friendships and their drama. And I'm a sucker for the drama, so I listen. But more so than any of that, I'm trying to do the finances in my head. 12,000 subscribers, okay. You're monetized. Not Dubai, Miami, nightlife monetization, though. It doesn't. Obviously, they come from wealthy families, which is fine. A lot of people ask the B-man, how did you afford the camera? How did you afford the lighting for your project, Verbal Graffiti? Well, I live with my mom. I'm honest about that. And we had a lovely, what did we have for dinner this year? Oh, we had ravioli with homemade tomato sauce that my mother made. It's a lovely sauce. And I feel bad. I feel bad for the people out there who use ragu, tomato sauce, on their ravioli. If you're one of those people who uses ragu, tomato sauce on your ravioli, I suggest you go out to the Atlantic Ocean, swim away, and never come back. Because that's not a lifestyle you'll want to live. The ragu, lifestyle. I imagine these ladies who have these podcasts, how are they affording to go out in Miami and then talk about on their podcast in sweatpants? Does all the money go towards that lifestyle, and then they have to take a spoon to a bottle of or a can of ragu tomato sauce? Is that what they live on? How are you affording that lifestyle? I don't know. With only 12,000 subscribers, and again, 12,000 subscribers. That's nothing to snarl your nose at. Still, it's not enough though to portray the lifestyle you're living. I don't know. Maybe I should just start eating stovetop stuffing and ragu tomato sauce. It's the only way to get ahead in life. I don't know. But there's this epidemic, and it's cookie cutter, right? It's cookie cutter. There's nothing unique about these podcasts, these YouTube shows. I don't even remember the names of them. They just come up. I'll watch 3 or 4 episodes. I'll forget about it. Then 2 weeks later, I'll find another 2 girls on a couch, babes, on a couch, talking about their shenanigans from the last weekend and their relationships and their situationships. And eventually one of them gets married and leaves the podcast because it doesn't make enough money to make a living doing a podcast. I know. I do this because I just love doing this. To be man, I'm a weirdo. I don't know. I'm a weirdo. I don't know why I still do this. I do it for the love of the game and the love of my penis, Mr. Perfect. But am I the only one seeing these podcasts where you look at it and you go, how does this all work? I know I only got up to pre-calculus, so I'm not a mathematician, and I'm certainly not good with finances. I put all my money into Bitcoin when it was at the peak, and then it cratered 80%. I don't know how to make money. I'm really good at buying at the top, selling at the bottom. Sorry? Yeah. I'm the opposite of what you should be doing. But these babes on YouTube who are on their living room and their couch with their Stanley Cup, laughing, pretending like their life is the lifestyle of the rich and famous. They eat nothing. They eat caviar off of China. And they drink purified water in their big 24-ounce Stanley 36-ounce can, or whatever the fuck you call that thing. It frustrates me. And I don't judge them. Whoever's backing them, however they're getting that money, although I have an inclination of how they're getting the money, and good for you if that's how you get your money. We advocate you do it if you're able to do it. And when I say it, I mean OnlyFans or some type of escorting or so. Again, good for you, good for them. But I'm going to call it an epidemic because that's what it is. An epidemic on the internet, on YouTube, of 2 girlfriends on a couch in sweatpants and a hoodie talking about their weekend. How did this become a genre, and how is it surviving? I don't know. And I spend too much time thinking about that. Let's move on. All right, this next one comes from... I got to learn how to open my phone. All right, this comes from... Okay. This comes from a subreddit called Healthy Hoo-Ha. Loose Vagina. Hi, everyone. I am so stressed. I'm a 22-year-old female, beautiful age. I have a loose vagina, and I don't know how to cope. Or if I have any options at all to help my sex life, do tell. I have had 2 sexual partners. The first, of course, was when I lost my virginity, and the sex never felt great. I never felt any friction, and he told me at one point he couldn't feel anything during intercourse. The second there was a similar issue, I didn't feel much, and he had trouble finishing. I've tried testing what I feel like by putting my fingers inside myself, and there's not much pressure, and sometimes it feels cavernous or like four sides don't touch at once. During yoga, certain positions, I queef easily, and I can easily insert two fingers unaroused. I've been reading around online for advice or help, and I understand Kegels is number one a recommended answer, and I've been trying to, but will it make a difference if I am a biologically larger? Is surgery a viable answer? I am worried I will never be able to be in a long-term fulfilling relationship if the sex is going to be bad. I've even seen a gyno and asked about it, and she gave me a very generic one-sentence answer about how all vaginas are normal. I know this is very TMI, that means too much information, but I don't know what to do. I'm here to tell you, the B-man, that is, I'm here to tell you that your gynecologist lied to you and your vagina that is very loose. Not all vaginas are normal. You clearly do not have a normal vagina. You have a very loose vagina. What is that? What is that? A horny guy who put his ear up to your loose vagina just told me he heard the sound of waves in the Atlantic Ocean coming from your vagina. That's how loose your vagina is. Please always wear panties, because if not, there's a danger that a butterfly might just fly up in there. That's how wide and open and loose your vagina is. If Gallagher were still alive, how shall I say this? You know, your vagina is so loose that if Gallagher were still alive, he'd be able to smash a watermelon in there and you wouldn't even feel it. That's how loose your vagina is. We're dealing with a crisis. That is your loose vagina. Your vagina is so loose that a third grader can make a diagram, right? It's as big as a shoebox. I'm very concerned about the size of your vagina. How do you find pants to wear with the vagina that loose to wear? You actually remember Jinko jeans from the 90s, those big wide-legged pants with the big pockets? That's your sniz. You have the Jinko jeans of sniz. All right? God is cruel. God is cruel. What do you do? What do you do? Unless you want to put kilos of cocaine and illegal drugs upside your big, wide, loose sniz and transport contraband across borders in America and Mexico, you're useless. I hate to break it to you. There's nothing your gyno can do. There's no surgery available yet to tighten that loose floppy disk of a vagina that you have. You're never gonna feel sex, right? You're screwed, which is ironic because you'll never feel getting screwed because your vagina is so loose. But your life is screwed. Do you know that? You know that. 22 years old, beautiful age. Vagina, not so much. Yeah, you have the vagina of somebody who gave birth to 8 children and had 3 miscarriages. Sorry. Then be the brakes. What do you do about it, though? What do you do? Let the B-man give you some advice. Now, I'm a weirdo. I like a loose vagina. I like tight jeans and a loose-fitting vagina. I'm a weirdo like that. One time, I had sex with a babe, consensually. She had fake boobies. All right, she had the name brand boobies. She had such a loose vagina, and I loved it. I like a vagina where I can go in there and kind of rearrange myself in there. I like being able to, it almost feels like I'm playing ping pong in there, right? We're at the arcade. We're playing arcade games in there. I love it. You know, you got a You can play air hockey in your vagina. That's how loose it is. I like that. But I'm a anomaly? Anomaly? How do you say that word? I'm just a weird fuck. I like a loose. I had one. Yeah, the babe I fucked who had a loose vagina. I told her, like your second lover or first lover. I told her, oh, I like your loose vagina because my last babe that I was with, hers was so tight I could barely fit inside of it. And then 2 days later, the babe with loose. I asked the babe with the loose vagina to hang out again, so we could fuck. And I asked her, hey, can we hang out? But in reality, that's just a polite way of saying, hey, can we hang out? But when the B-man asks you to hang out, that's my way of saying, hey, I want to spend time with you to fuck. And this babe told me, she goes, no, absolutely not. Like, I can't hang out with somebody who described the elasticity of somebody's vagina that they've been with. And I was taken aback by that. I'm like, all right, well, all right. Wet blanket, Debbie Downer, fine. But no, whatever. That's me. That's my past. That's my regret. But this is about you and your loose vagina. How do we fix it? Well, it can't be fixed. It can't be fixed, but there are solutions. Does that make sense? Let me try to explain. Much like the men curse with the micropene, all right, the little pinky dick. What do we tell those gentlemen? We tell them, well, hey, you got to become an expert at sucking that clit. You got to become an expert, a master of cunnilingus. You got to learn how to use that tongue. You got to get 10,000 hours of that, right? Become lethal with your tongue. You got to bury your face in there, get that sniz, and get her off with your tongue and your fingers and whatever whoopee-doo, da-da-da, you can do with your fingers and your tongue. That's what you got to do, all right? You're never going to feel sex. Actually, we'll get to how you can feel sex, but to please a man, you're never going to be able to please a man. A man's never going to be able to bust his nut, to hawk his dick loogie inside your vagina because you're so loose he can't feel anything. So you got to learn, you got to become a viper with your mouth. Right? You got to get any gag reflex that you have to get rid of. If you cannot open your jaw wide enough, you need to go to a doctor that will break your jaw in half so you can open up your mouth wider and you got to be able to devour penis. You got to put in those 10,000 hours of sucking cock, penis, ween. You got to become a master at it. There's some voodoo. You got to do that, and then you got to let guys fuck you in the ass. That's the only way guys are going to be able to hawk their dick loogie using your anatomy. Because your vagina is useless. Again, unless you want to export contraband between across and back and forth from borders. So yeah, you can say it's unfair, but so is having a micropene. We tell them they gotta become masters with their tongue. Same with you, honey. Now, if you wanna, now that I breathe, now you know what? I'm wrong. There is dick that will be able to feel your penis. Be able to feel your vagina. But it ain't my penis. And me and Mr. Perfect, he ain't going to feel anything inside of you. And most of the guys from the burbs, white guys from the burbs, we ain't going to be able to feel anything because we got pedestrian dicks over here. Boyfriend dicks, as they call it these days. You need to go to the projects. Section 8 housing. And get some of that BBC. Right? Big black cock. That's where it resides. Section 8 housing. You need to become a size queen. All right? Become a size queen. Go to the projects. Hang out there Friday night. I know it's dangerous. I know it's noisy. It might be unpleasant. But if you want the BBC, someone who can actually fill you up, that's where you got to go. That's where the BBC can be found. The corner store, the bodega, the projects, Section 8 housing. All right? The white boys in the burbs, we got nothing for you. All right? And if you don't like BBCs, or you don't want to hang out in the projects on a Friday and Saturday night, drink a 40, King Cobra, the only other solution is double vaginal penetration. Are you willing to go that route? Where you have two guys put their penis inside of you at the same time. You said you have a loose vagina. Maybe that's how two guys can feel it. All right? Two guys that are maybe bisexual or just comfortable enough with their sexuality where they're willing to be inside you at the same time. Maybe two penises inside of you at the same time. They'll be able to feel the walls of your vagina. So that's the only solution. Become a size queen. Get double vaginal penetrated at the same time. Become a carnival act. Otherwise, you need to learn how to have an anal orgasm and just become a master at sucking dick. Right? God is cruel. And you got a loose fitting vagina. Useless. Man, life sucks. Life sucks. You got a vagina, which is the number one resource. Right? A 22-year-old's vagina is the most sought after resource on earth. But yours, as a 22-year-old, is as loose and floppy as there ever was. Life, it really is an enigma. Rubik's Cube. Oh well. I'd still like it. Let's go look at something. There I was a few weeks ago, might have been Thursday night. I was an audience member, but I was a comedian waiting my turn to get on stage, to tell my jokes, to talk about my dick, Mr. Perfect, my loved one, our unionship. Unionship, is that a word? Our union. Anyway, this isn't about my dick. This is about the comics I was silently judging. Back to the audience. Every comic comes up, not funny. Not funny. Do I have to applaud? Do I have to fist pump this comic as they get off stage? Does that make me a liar for fist pumping a comic who I didn't think did well during their time on stage? I do, because I'm polite and I'm a big old pussy like the lady in our first segment. I don't want to cause drama, so I fist pump, keep it going, be a team member. But I'm judging. Not funny, kind of funny. A rule of three joke, formulaic, not original. Okay. Keep it going, keep it going. Then the babe gets on stage. And it's not so much about her being a babe, but it's what she was talking about. It's actually, this babe was actually a little bit funny, which is uncommon for the babes. Most babes are not funny. Right? But I'll combat that by saying most Johns aren't funny either. That's why comedians are able to make a living, because most people aren't funny. So when I say babes aren't funny, I do mean it. Babes are not funny. But if you're a baby and you get upset at me, well, I'll tell you what, neither are the guys, neither are the Johns. But this babe was on stage, and I believe she's from Texas, or was it Louisiana? I think it was Texas. All right, you know where Texas is down there? She was talking about growing up, conservative family, community, conservative school, public school, and she was complaining about the sex education that she received in this Texas public school. And her whole set was about how she knew nothing about sex because her teachers, her health teacher failed her as a sex education teacher. And I'm there in the back of the room thinking about, and she's younger too. For context, she's probably, this babe was I'm assuming in her early to mid 20s. So let's say she was in school, middle high school, I don't know, 2015-ish. In today's today, if you're in school, or even 10 years ago, if you were in school, you should not be having to rely on your health teacher for sex education. That was my takeaway from her set. All right? Right? I'm throwing no shade at her, although I'm throwing all the shade at her. All right? Nobody should complain about their sex education. If you're got out of school within the past 10 years, high school that is, health education is useless. You have the internet. The internet has all the sex you want. It has all the education out there. A couple minutes on some nefarious website, and you'll learn more than I ever did in health education when I was in middle school in the 90s. All right? To be complaining about your health teacher and the sex education you got today is a waste of a complaint. There's so much to complain about in this world. That complaint about the sex education you got is futile. Is that the correct word? Futile? I believe that's the right adjective to use there. What are we doing? Open up your phone. Go on the hub. Go on Reddit. GIF. Right? Go on X videos, whatever, elephant video. There's so much smut on the internet available at your fingertips on that screen in your pocket, in your handbag, that we really should eliminate sex education. I think, yeah, now that I'm talking it out, sex education in the 2020s should be eliminated because it's useless. We're all getting sex education through the internet and our phones that it served its purpose, sex education, but it is no longer needed. And certainly if you're in high school now or within the past 10, 15 years, you shouldn't be expecting to get more out of your health class than you're getting on your phone or your laptop or tablet or whatever source you're using for the internet. So, yeah, it's a waste of a class period. All the health teachers in America should get fired, terminated tomorrow. They shouldn't get their pension. It's not needed today. All right, we have the internet. All right, we have sex at our fingertips. So if you're a health educator, go suck a fat one. You're not needed anymore. And if you're a student, stop bitching about your health teacher not teaching you enough about sex. Like, come on, you could do that yourself, right? I'm sure you did. And I'm not just talking about the babe that was on stage. I'm talking about everybody. Everybody who out there complaining about their health teacher and their sex education. That's on you, honey or John. Moving forward. All right, this next one comes from, why is my phone not opening? Okay, this next one comes from the subreddit Problems. How can someone completely get out of binge watching loop? ? As a student, binge watching directly affects my studies. It ruins sleep schedules, reduces focus, and makes it harder to sit and study for long hours. Even when I know I should be studying, my mind keeps thinking about the next episode. This creates a cycle of procrastination, guilt, and stress. Watching to escape pressure, then feeling worse because important work is left undone. Over time, this habit affects discipline, motivation, and self-confidence. Deadlines are missed, exam preparation becomes rushed, and learning turns into a source of anxiety instead of growth. Mentally, it also increases laziness, overthinking, and constant feeling of being behind others. In my ball sack, right between my two balls, I'm seeing your future. And if you don't know, let me guide you. You should go into HR work. You should work in an HR department because you use all the keywords, all the key vocabulary words that slap you just used in your post. I think you probably used AI to come up with this post because you were binge watching Love Island or some Bravo show. So you used AI to write the post for you. But yeah, you write, or your AI assistant writes like an HR professional. So that's what you should do. As for your problem, as for your lack of studies because you're too busy binge watching TV shows, reality shows, Love Island, Love is Blind. I don't know. I don't watch reality TV anymore. I was a reality TV addict in my 20s. No longer. I matured. I become a content creator of my own. I no longer need reality TV, to give me entertainment. But this is about you, not me, the B-man. I mean, the obvious answer is just get rid of your TV. Any app on your cell phone, smartphone that allows you to watch or binge watch TV, get rid of the app. That's the obvious answer. But again, this is verbal graffiti. If I gave everybody the obvious answer, none of you would be watching. So let's have some fun at it, shall we? I'm kind of ashamed of you. You really don't deserve to graduate. If this is causing you so much trouble, so much tribulation, strife, conflict, you're failing classes because you can't stop watching Love is Blind or Summer House or what's another show on Bravo? Below Deck. Hey, look at your classmates. Look at what they're doing. You have probably 50% of your classmates are binge drinking every weekend. I guarantee you, there's probably a babe who sits beside you in class who sucked 2 dicks this past Sunday night. 2 dicks in the same house. If you ask her, what's the last name of those gentlemen you sucked off Sunday night, she won't be able to give you the last name of either of those guys because she's such a floozy. She's sucking so much dick and she's still getting a passing grade. And there were guys who are binge drinking every weekend. There are classmates of yours that are waking and baking every day of the semester, and yet they're able to keep a 3.0 GPA. There are guys, there are gals that are streaming, have an OF account, are gaming, playing Diablo, playing Grand Theft Auto. There are guys in your class who didn't even buy the textbook, and yet they're getting a passing grade. Basically, everybody in your class that you're a part of is passing without studying, without doing the research, without putting the work in. That's what you're supposed to do in college, is not do the work, binge the night before the exam, barely pass, and move on with your life. You're thinking too much. Honestly, you're not thinking enough about what you're binge watching, and you're thinking you're thinking too much about what you should be doing, that it's ruining your enjoyment of binge watching Love is Blind. So what I say is stop worrying about not putting in the work. You'll graduate. You're paying $50,000 per year to attend whatever college or university you're attending. Like you're paying the university, they're going to give you the degree. Now you really got to fuck up to give a university $50,000 a year and have them kick you out. That you're giving them money, you really shouldn't even have to go to class. You shouldn't have to do anything. I'm giving you $50,000. You give me a passing grade that will get me a degree. Thank you very much. All right. And honestly, if you're not built for this world, get a tent. Get a tent. If binge watching TV is stressing you out in college, you're not going to be able to keep up with a mortgage payment every month. All right, you're not going to be able to live in a house. Just get a tent and go live by a railroad somewhere because you ain't built for this life. Your classmates who are sucking dicks off, binge drinking, gaming, waking and baking, they're built for this life. You are not. How do you pass your classes? When you're binge watching whatever reality show. The Bachelor's, that's still a thing. Survivor, I'm not really sure what the TV shows are. You know, another thing, too, as a guy who's in corporate America, it's more important to binge watch whatever it is on Netflix than it is to get good grades in school. Just get the degree to get the entry-level job or the internship that will get you the entry-level job. But that's all the degree is for. Because whatever degree you're going after is going to be useless in 5 years. I have a degree in political science. When I was in college, I learned all about the Iraq War and political philosophy. That was 20 years ago. It's useless today. I guarantee it. The B-Man gives you a B-Man guarantee that your degree is going to be useless. But you know what's not? What you're binge watching on Netflix this weekend. Because every team's meeting I have on Monday morning, this is what we talk about. We'll talk about the weather, inevitably, and then the conversation turns to, what did you do this weekend? And then you have a snooze of a colleague who will talk about what they were watching on Netflix, and then everybody on the call starts talking about what they're watching on Netflix, what they like, what they don't like, what they binge watched. And that's what corporate America is. It's building relationships and learning how to stab your coworkers in the back. So binge watch Netflix so you can converse with your colleagues, your teammates, your supervisors on that Monday morning Teams call. So what you're doing right now actually is going to prepare you for corporate America more so than actually doing the classwork that you should be doing when you're binge watching Love is Blind or whatever bullshit it is you're watching. But how do you pass your class to get the degree? Have sex with your professor. Go to his office hours, suck him off, give him your sniz, throw everything off his desk so he'll give you a passing grade. That way, you don't have to study. Right? Just go to his office hours, 1 hour, do the deed with him. You pass the semester. You don't have to worry about studying, reading a chapter, note cards, highlighters, all that. Throw it away. And you can just spend time in your dorm room watching whatever it is you're binge watching. You're welcome. And to everybody else who's in college, stressing, go suck a fat one.